Welcome to Thoughts Upward. We're so glad to be back with you today, and I think you'll be seeing this on Friday, and I'm glad. I hope it gives you a good weekend. I have I've invited Brother Jeff Single, pastor at Greensburg, Indiana. A great church, pastors a great church, and I've asked him to come and be on the program today. Welcome, Brother Single.
Thank you, Brother Marler.
We're so glad your friendship has meant so much to me, and my wife, my late wife, she loved you all an awful lot, and it hadn't been long enough yet. I think of her every time I do anything.
Sure.
That sort of thing.
Well, we love the Marlers. Learned to love the Marlers early on, and certainly.
Brother Single is such a great preacher. I heard him preach at a conference this week, and it was so good. And he has such a great church. Was privileged to be with him last night. But I imagine I better hurry along because I don't want this to be too long, because I have a special subject I want him to talk about. Now, if you notice my shirt, I really need a suit on, probably a tuxedo or something. And I could have combed my hair a little better, but the reason I didn't was because of what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about mountain climbing.
One of my favorite subjects.
One of your favorite?
Sure is.
Brother Single, you actually climbed a mountain, not just one of these little hill things that they go out and feel good about.
I did.
I want you to just tell us kind of quickly how you got into it, and I want you to tell us what you did, what mountain, and so forth, and then we'll talk a little bit about the details.
Okay. Well, I went out. My first time ever seeing this mountain was I had went to Brother Ken Bowe's conference in Seattle, Washington.
Yeah.
And flying in, I saw Mount Rainier. It was my first opportunity to ever see it. And that's been probably some 20 years ago. And I saw Mount Rainier, went out and visited the mountain several times, decided I wanted to climb it. And so it took me a while, but I decided to do it. And I spent 17 months in training to go. And
17 months.
17 months. It was a lot of training involved, but I was able to. I hired a guide service, Rainier Mountaineering Guide Services, and they got me all the way to the top of the mountain. So obviously it was a lot of work, but they got me all the way to the top of the mountain. I was able to summit on my very first attempt, which is a feat in and of itself.
Could you have done it by yourself, without a guide?
You can do it by yourself. I wouldn't recommend it just a solo, maybe but you don't have to have a guide. You can actually pull a permit and climb the mountain, but it's much easier with a guide. I wouldn't have attempted it without a guide.
Yeah. Well, now tell us how you felt, and just give us, as being a novice, and I will always remain a novice. And if I was 20 years old, I'd still remain but tell us of the feelings, and just tell us how you felt.
Sure. Well, I went out in August. It's a four-day excursion. August of 2013 was when I went out. We went through a gear check. The first at noon the first day, and they go through all of that. The second day you go out and do a lot of crevasse rescue training, making sure that you're up to speed and that you're physically capable of doing what they want you to do. I was just less than a month shy of my 50th birthday.
Oh, were you?
So I was 49 years old at the time, and my first time ever. I've read every book about mountain climbing.
It's now or never.
Yeah, it's got to happen. So I decided I was going to do it, and went out. We did the rescue training, and then the next 2 days are actually the climb. The first day you go up to what is called Camp Muir. It's at about 10,500 feet elevation. And then you start out about midnight that night because you want to summit right around.
I can't imagine starting climbing a mountain at night.
Yeah. Well, there's several reasons for that, Brother Marler, because the number one problem that you have on mountains is obviously avalanches is a big danger. And when things start to melt, then things start coming loose, and you can have avalanches. The year that I had, in 2013, before I arrived, there had already been 5 avalanches on the main trail, and so it was the latest one was less than a week before I arrived there, and so they'd had to kind of change the course a little bit. But you want to start out in the night, and it was very frozen, very cold, and because you don't want things coming loose and starting, any kind of an avalanche. Just a small pebble or anything can start something on down the hill. Yeah, and so you start out about midnight, and then you eventually summit just after daybreak, and then you spend a very short amount of time. You go over the rim of the crater. It's actually a volcano, and you go down onto. It's frozen. The crater down into the volcano is frozen, but it's still there's. You see the steam vents and what have you on the top of the mountain. But it was quite an experience. I can tell you, I trained for 17 months. I did everything that they asked us to do. And it was still everything that I wanted at 50 years of age, to be able to climb the mountain, make it all the way to the top, and to make it back down safely.
Was coming down dangerous as going up?
It actually, more people are injured on the climb down than they are on the ascent, simply because they've expended so much energy. They get a little careless. And things are melting a little bit, maybe in the daytime, and so there's more danger actually coming down.
How many people went with you all?
So there were on our group. We started off with 15 climbers and 5 guides, and we actually our lead guide was a female, a lady. Name is Lindsay Mann. She's a Olympic skier, but she was our main guide. And the guide on my group his name was Andy Hildebrand. I don't know if he's still guiding or not, but that was his name.
Well, how many made it? How many?
Of the 15 climbers that started, we had 12 of the climbers that actually made it.
They made it.
They hooked. I was roped together with 2 other men that were older than what I was at the time by a couple of years. They were from that area. One of them was a writer for Hal Bernstein, I think is his name. He's a writer for the Seattle Times. And then he had a guy, they've been family friends for years. Their wives were friends. They'd done a lot of hiking together. And I found out afterwards they probably roped us together because we were the old guys, and they probably didn't expect us to make it.
The old guys fall.
Yeah, they didn't expect us to make it, and they wanted us all to go back down the hill by ourselves.
But they all made it.
Every one of us made it. Yeah.
What was the moment? Tell me the moment that you remember the most. Was there a time you say? Was there a uh-oh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there definitely was. Well, there were two times, once on the ascent and once coming back down in the daylight. We were going across a crevasse that had opened up, and across this crevasse was a ladder, an extension ladder.
Crevasse, I don't understand.
Okay, a crevasse is a big opening in the ice.
Yes.
That is, this particular one, you could see down inside of it when I came back across it, probably some good 300-400 feet down into it. It's just like a big canyon in the snow, and I'm going across that in the night. Obviously, you're linked together with your fellow climbers.
Yeah.
You're also attached to your body harness onto a rope, but nonetheless, you're going across this very narrow ladder that has 2x6s across it. And I literally locked up. Fear so great. I'd only felt that fear one other time when I was a young man, and I thought the Lord had come, but I felt it twice. Locked up fear on that mountain where.
How did you get over that?
I simply had to just
talk to yourself.
Talk to myself and think it through. It was the only way to get through it.
What, the other guys just kind of wait with you?
They just waited. Obviously one of them is on each side of me, on the other side of the crevasse already, and one of them before he had come across. And we just had to just talk our way through it, pray through it. Did a lot of praying.
When we were building a church in Dallas, I had a ladder going up because we had one of those tall roofs.
Yes, sir.
And I ran up the ladder. Just walked out and just ran up the ladder. And I could just, when I almost there, I heard somebody, it sounded like they was way in the distance saying, "Lay down, Brother Marler, just lay down."
Wow.
And if I could climb just a ladder, I don't think. That is something else.
Yeah. That was a moment. The other was, there's a little area on the mountain they call it Disappointment Cleaver, because it is
that's where it gets everybody?
It gets a lot of people. You're at about 12,500 feet if you make it to the top of that. And it's still dark.
12,500
feet. Yeah, the mountain itself is 14,411, which is about half of Mount Everest.
Yeah.
But they call it the training ground for Everest because the terrain is very similar.
A lot like it.
So they have a lot of people that do their training for Everest on Mount Rainier. The other place was there at the top of Disappointment Cleaver. They set us all out. They extended us all out as far as our ropes would go. And they told us, they said, "Listen, you've got to make up your mind. If you've got enough energy to go ahead, you've been through some really tough, but you haven't been through the toughest part yet. And you got to make it all the way to the top, and then you got to make it down from this mountain today. And so you got to determine, and you got to make this decision for yourself, whether you're going to be able to make it or not. And we're going to come back around to the group, and one by one we're going to ask you, and you have the opportunity to say no." And I sat there and I thought, it was dark and
cold.
It was cold, wind howling, and it had just really been something climbing to that point. And actually, Brother Larry Booker's message came to my mind. I made this decision when I was in my right mind. And I thought, I put 17 months of training into this. Yeah. And yes, that's been tough.
I'm going.
But I'm going. And actually, the two guys that I was roped to, they told me, they said, "We was waiting on your answer," because it was really hinged upon whether we were going to or not, because I was the first one in our group. And when I told our guide, I said, I'm going. They said, "We made up our mind. We was going with you." And we all three made it.
Well, that's what we got to do about heaven. Huh?
Yes, we do.
We put all this time into it.
Yes, sir.
We might as well go. Huh?
You got to go all the way.
Well, I saw your book.
Yeah.
That is a neat book of those pictures and all of that and those moments and so forth.
I tried to put together a pictorial from the time that I began my training for it, going out and visiting the mountains and pictures, to all the way through it. Just to
I understand the book more now.
yeah,
Look at it again. I'd
Yeah.
like to look at it. Well, I thank you. We've heard the perils and the excitement
Thank you.
of mountain climbing.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like to say about it quickly? I imagine our time, but
Yeah.
is there anything?
Well, the only thing that I would add, one more thing that I think is very important, especially in our walk with God,
Yeah.
is when you are following your other climbers going up and coming down from the mountain. They tell you need to put your feet exactly where the climber before you has put their feet. Don't try to blaze your own path.
Yeah.
Put them right exactly. Put your feet exactly where they have put their feet. And that really spoke to me as well, because
Yes.
it certainly has a lot of, I've got a lot of
Spiritual meaning.
spiritual meaning, definitely some men, and I want to put my feet exactly.
And
where
we're
they put
tied
their
to a
feet.
lot of people.
Yes, sir.
We're trying to help a lot of people get there.
Yes, sir. Yes,
It's
sir.
not just us.
Yep.
And especially when you have a call, of course, every saint of God has a call
Yes,
to
sir.
help others. It's not just us alone. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you so much. I love and appreciate you. And
Thank you, Brother Marler.
Thank you for what
Love you
you've
as
done
well.
in the ministry.
Yes.
It's just been so great.
Love,
Well,
Brother Marler.
God bless you. We'll see you probably Monday, I think it is. Bye.